Secretary, I'd love to give you a couple minutes to respond to some of the things the ranking member said, starting with the fact that two of the three largest bank failures in American history happened under President Biden, not President Trump. Correct?
Correct.
Number two, under President Biden, we saw devastation in household after household after household. He dug a big hole where the average family was losing at the end of his term over $1,000 a month in spending power. Accurate?
I would say workers suffered under policies championed by the Biden-Warren economy.
And President Trump has had to fill that hole. As a matter of fact, we've seen some of the strongest GDP growth that we've seen in decades.
We've seen strong GDP growth in spite of many, but not all, of the members on the right, or my right side of the room, voting for the longest government shutdown in history. Despite that, we have seen extremely strong economic growth.
And if you look at the success, and this doesn't get a lot of attention, but let's make sure that it gets more today. If you look at the success of the Working Families Tax Cut bill, for those folks in blue-collar America, for the folks who are working every single day, sometimes two jobs, trying to make sure that their ends meet, when they look at sitting down at the kitchen table, wondering if anyone is paying attention in Washington to the suffering and the challenges around the country in their household, the answer today is absolutely, positively, unequivocally yes. We know that because in the Working Families Tax Cut bill, we saw tips. If you earned tips in America, your taxes went down significantly. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, sir. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans for American-made cars, and every Democrat voted against that and in favor of the largest tax hike in history.
Now, on top of that, because we understand that raising children have never been more expensive, and frankly, if you looked at the attempt of my friends on the left on child care, some of their proposals would have taken child care from average of $15,300 to $29,000 in some of the estimates given by their bill that they wanted to get passed under President Biden. We actually increased the child tax credit to $2,250, $2,200, $2,200, right? $2,200. So when you compare the two economies and compare the two levels of leadership that we're seeing in great contrast, back-to-back leadership, there's no question that if you're looking for someone focusing on working class Americans, undeniably, that would be the Trump economy and the Trump administration.
Mr. Chairman, during Joe Biden's tenure, CPI was 4.7% on an annualized basis. Cumulative CPI was 21.5%. There was a loss of real purchasing power for working families. Thus far, we've seen an increase in real wages. CPI for 2025 was 2.7%. And we have seen it fall for the past 3 months to 2.1. And there is an index called Trueflation, which is observed inflation, not measured inflation, which comes with a lag, that just fell below 1%.
Wow. I only have a minute left. I'm holding everyone to the same standard, including myself. So here's my probably not my last question, but I'm getting close to the end. When inflation in 2021 hit 9%, bad or good for the American economy?
Terrible. Terrible for the American economy, terrible for the American people.
Number two, when President Trump has been able to keep inflation under 3%, still heading towards our goal of 2%, much, much better for our economy. And as a result, interest rates have been able to come down consistently.
Yes, we've seen the interest rates come down this year, and the 10-year U.S. Treasury had its best year since 2020, when the bond markets and our G7 colleagues actually had rate hikes. We had rate decreases.
I only have 10 seconds. At the end of the day, home ownership and affordability is more likely now in the Trump economy than it ever would have been under the Biden economy.